Chapter 1 of Bill and Doreen's Married Life, from Doreen. Bill and Doreen's Married Life, from Doreen, by Clarence James Dennis. Chapter 1. Washing Day. The little gypsy violets, they was peeping through the green as she come walking in the grass, me little wife, Doreen. The sun shone on the sassafras where thrushes sung a bar. The open worry of our lives was yellin' for his ma. I watched her comin' down the green, the sun was on her hair, just the woman that I married when me luck was headin' fair. I seen her walkin' in the sun that lit our little farm. She had 3 clothes pegs in her mouth and washin' on her arm. 3 clothes pegs, for I counted 'em, and watched her as she come. The stove wood's low, she mumbles, and young Bill has cut his thumb. Now it weren't no giddy love speech, but it seemed to take me straight back to the time I kissed her first beside her mother's gate. 6 years of wedded life we've had, and still me dreams is sweet. Oh, them bonzer little violets, they was smilin' round me feet. And what's a bit of stove wood count, with paddocks grinnin' green, when a bloke gets on to dreamin' of the old days and Doreen? The days I thought I'd snared a saint, but since I've understood, I have wed a dinkum woman, which is 50 times as good. I have wed a dinkum woman, and she gives me eyes to see. I ain't been mollycoddled, and there ain't no fluff on me. But days when I was down and out, she seemed so high above. And a saint is made for worship, but a woman's made for love. And a bloke is growin' richer as such things he comes to know. She pegs another sheet and says, "The stove wood's gettin' low." A bloke, he learns a lot of things in 6 years with a tart, but thrushes in the sassafras ain't singin' like me art. 'Tis the thrushes who have taught me, in their tuneful sort of way, that it's best to take things singin' as you meet 'em day be day. For I wed a real live woman with a woman's happy knack of talkin' reason inside out and logic front to back. And I like it, 'struth, I like it, for a wax doll in an 'ome. She'd give a man the flamin' pip and longin's for to roam. Oh, I ain't no silk sock sonky who abhors the rude and rough. For city born and gutter bred, me schoolin', it was tough. And I like the dinkum woman who, she jerks the clothes prop so, and says, so sweet and dangerous, "The stove wood's gettin' low." See, I've studied men in cities, and I've studied 'em out here. I've seen 'em hard through piety, and seen 'em kind through beer. I've seen the meanest doin' deeds to make the angels smile, and watched the proudest playin' games that crooks 'ud reckon vile. I have studied 'em in bunches, and I've read 'em one be one. And there isn't much between 'em when the 'ole thing's said and done. And I've sorter studied women, for I've met a tidy few. And there's times when I was younger, when I kids meself I knew. But him who hopes to count the stars or measure up the sea, he can have a shot at woman, for she's fairly flummoxed me. "I'll have to have some wood," she says, and says it most polite, and secret to a pair of socks, and jams a peg in tight. Now a woman, she's a woman, I have fixed that for a cert. They're just as like as rows of peas from hat to hem of skirt. And then they're all so different, you find before you've done. The more you know of all of 'em, the less you know of one. And then the more you know of one, she gives her hair a touch. "The stove wood's nearly done," she says. Not that it matters much. The little gypsy violets, they was smilin' round me feet, an' this dreamin' dilly daydreams on a summer day was sweet. I heaves me frame from off the fence an' grabs me little axe. But when I'm 'arf way to the shed she stops me in me tracks. "Yer lunch is ready. That ole wood can easy wait a while." Strike! I'm married to a woman, but she never seen me smile. End of Chapter 1. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Chapter 2 of Bill and Doreen's Married Life from Doreen by Clarence James Dennis. Logic and Spotted Dog. "Unless you hide that axe," she says, "he'll hurt himself real bad. An' after all, now, Bill, don't cry. The trouble that I've had with him through croup an' whoopin' cough, he goes an' cuts himself. Why don't you hang it on the wall, or hide it on a shelf? But there it was, just thrown about. You ought to take more care. You left it there. You left it there," she says, "an' now," I says, "hold on a jiff. Let's get the facts all sorted out before we has a tiff. I'm mighty careful with that axe, an' never leaves it out, an' I'd be mad if that young imp got knockin' it about. Ole axe," she says, "look at his thumb. A precious lot you care. You left it there." I am married to a woman, which is natural an' right. I says that over to meself for safety, day an' night. Most times I says it fond an' proud, with gladness in me mind. But sometimes, philosophic like, an' what you'd call resigned, "An axe as sharp as that," she says, "it really isn't fair. You left it there. The way you pet that axe," she says, "the way it's ground an' filed, the way you fairly fondle it, you'd think it was a child. An' when I pick the ole thing up to cut a bit of string, you rave an' shout." "Wait on," I says, "but iron's a different thing. An' you was choppin' fencin' wire," she says. "Well, I don't care. You left it there." I helps meself to Spotted Dog an' chews an' thinks a while. "I'm reely sorry," I begins. Then, as I seen her smile, I plays her for the fun of it, an' says that all the same, if he gets foolin' with that axe, he's got himself to blame. Her eyes spark up. "A child like that! Now, Bill, it isn't fair. You left it there." I cuts another slice an' says this Spotted Dog's a treat. "Of course, whoever left it there," I says, "was indiscreet." "Careless," she says, "you know you are. He might 'a' cut his face. An axe as sharp as that," she says, "should be kept in its place." "Quite right," I says. "And not," she says, "just throwin' round anywhere. You left it there." An' then I lets her have it, an' I says, "Now, think a bit. I put that axe away last night when all the wood was split." "Well, that's enough about it now," she says. I seen her wince, an' says, "I put that axe away, an' haven't used it since. But someone else was usin' it this mornin', I can swear, an' left it there." "Well, never mind poor Bill," she says. "Was his poor thumb all hurt?" "Oh, it's entertainin' sometimes for to argue with a skirt." "There's someone else," I says, an' grins an' kids I'm doin' fine. "Was usin' it this mornin' for to cut a bit of pine. So now," I says, "apologise. I've beat you fair an' square. You left it there." For 'arf a mo she pets young Bill an' wouldn't meet me eye. Thinkin' she was, I knew she was, an' then she lets it fly. "If you 'ad cut that wood," she says, "as I implored you to, there wouldn't be no need for me to 'ave such things to do. It ain't right for a woman.
"'Ere," I says, "now I don't care. 'Oo left it there?" "Of course you don't," she gets me back. "You never care a bit. An' it ain't right for a woman to 'ave kindlin' wood to split. While there's a man about the 'ouse," I sees the tears is near, an' pats 'er 'air. "Now let it drop," I says. "Don't worry, dear." "'Ow can I let it drop?" she sobs. "You said you didn't care. 'Oo left it there?" "I do," I yells. "I mean, I don't. Oh, God spare me days. When you argue wiv a woman, she 'as got you either ways. You 'ave to do it in the end, an' so I licks the dirt An' says, "Dear, I apologise. I'm sorry if I hurt." Yes, I'm married to a woman, an' she smiles an' strokes me 'air, an' leaves it there.
End of chapter 2. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Chapter 3 of Bill and Doreen's Married Life, from Doreen, by Clarence James Dennis. Chapter 3. Violets.
I was pickin' gypsy violets for to try an' square Doreen. We 'ad words about pianos, for she wants one awful keen. I words about 'igh-toned idears, an' like a lovesick fool, 'ere I'm pickin' gypsy violets when the kid came 'ome from school. 'E started school a month ago, an' ain't got very far. But, judgin' by the scraps 'e 'as, 'e's taken after Par. I tips there's somethin' wrong the way 'e sneaks around the 'ouse. An' then I seen 'is eye. Oh, strike! 'E 'ad a bonzer mouse. A reel black eye that, in me day, I would 'a' worn wiv pride. But I'm a father now, an' says, "'Ere, son, you get inside, An' show yer mother that there eye. 'Ow did it come about?" Says 'e, "A big bloke gimme that. I knocked the beggar out." I looks fer 'arf a second at the family disgrace. Then I picks another violet, so 'e couldn't see me face. I was grinnin' most unfatherlike, an' feelin' good inside. "You show yer Mar that eye of yours. I'm 'shamed of you," I lied. I watched 'im creep inside the 'ouse an' 'ear 'is mother's yell. An' then I straightens up me face an' goes inside as well. 'Twas raw beef steak an' vinegar an' tears before she's done. An' the sorter look she give me says, "You see 'ow 'e's begun." I don't disturb the rites except to give some kind advice. In younger days I've caught black eyes, an' give 'em once or twice. "That big boy should be punished," says Doreen, "who 'it our Bill." I pats the 'ero's bandages an' answers 'er 'e will. That evenin', down be'ind the shed, near where the scrub grows dense, I gives young Bill a lesson in the art of self defence. I teaches 'im an uppercut that Ginger Mick taught me. In old days, down in Spadger's Lane, I gets down on me knee. To show 'im 'ow to time 'is 'it, 'e sneaks beneath me guard, quite sudden, while I'm yappin', an' 'e cracks me one reel 'ard. Did it please me? What do you think? Strike! That kid 'as got the knack. An' it pleased me all to pieces 'ow the ole game all came back. Left swings an' jolts an' short arm jabs, the ole dash box o' tricks, such as we used down in the lane when we was short o' bricks. I'm showin' 'im a fancy 'it, a reel ole ding-dong clout, when the murderin' young savage tries to knock me front teeth out. Of course 'e 'urt 'is little 'and an' fetches up a yell that brings Doreen down double quick, an' then 'twas merry 'ell. She grabs the child up in 'er arms an' gives me such a look as I ain't seen since years ago when I done somethin' crook. "You'll 'ave 'im like you was," she cries. "I'd sooner see 'im dead. You want to make 'im..." "Don't," I says. we'll take the rest as said. It hurt to see her shieldin' him as though I was a plague. And ain't he mine as much as hers? Yet I seen, sort of vague, the woman's way she looked at it, the pictures that she 'ad of young Bill goin' to the pack and followin' his dad. I tries me hardest to explain and make some fool excuse, but I'm married to a woman and, oh, what's the flamin' use? I tells her if we'd have young Bill keep up his end at school, he will have to use his flippers, but I says it like a fool. I says it like I was ashamed to have him learn to fight, when all the time, down in me heart, I knew that I was right. She just gives me another look and goes in with the kid, and me, I picks them violets up, not knowin' what I did. I has them fool things in me 'and when I lobs in the 'ouse, and makes bets with meself about the chances that she'll rouse. But her, she comes the calm and cold. Thinks I, here's where I fall for a 40 quid piano if I want to square it all. Goodbye to 40 lovely quid, time payment 53. And all at once she smiles and says, "Did you pick those for me?" "Did you pick those for me?" she says. "Oh, Bill," and then, "Oh, Bill." I hints I 'ad ideas to leave 'em to her in me will. She grabs them dilly violets and she holds 'em to her nose. "Oh, Bill," she smiles, "you always knew 'ow fond I was of those." "Oh, Bill, you dear." She hugs me then, just in the same old way. 'Struth, I'm married to a woman, and I'll learn young Bill some day.
End of Chapter 3. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Chapter 4 of Bill and Doreen's Married Life, from Doreen, by Clarence James Dennis. Chapter 4. Possum.
Just 'ere it gripped me on a sudden like a red-hot knife. I was diggin' in the garden, talkin' pleasant to me wife, when it got me good an' solid, an' I fetches out a yell, an' curses soft down in me neck, an' breathes 'ard for a spell. Then when I tries to straighten up, it stabs me 10 times worse. I think per'aps I'm dyin', an' chokes back a real 'ot curse. "I've worked too fast," I tells Doreen. "Me backbone's runnin' 'ot. I'm sick. I've got, oh, 'oly wars, I dunno what I've got. Just 'ere, don't touch! Just round back 'ere, a blazin' little pain is clawin' up me spinal cord an' slidin' down again." "You come inside," she says. "Per'aps it's stoopin' in the sun. Does it 'urt much?" I says, "Oh, no, I'm havin' lots of fun." Then cooing to me, woman like, she pilots me inside. It stabs me every step I takes. I thought I would 'a' died. "There now," she says, "men can't stand pain. It's always understood." "Stand pain!" I howls. Then jumpin' jakes. It gets me really good. So I gets to bed in sections, for it gives me beans to bend, an' shuts me eyes an' groans again, an' just waits for the end. "Now you lie still," she orders me, "until I think what's best. Per'aps 'ot bran or poultices. You just lie still an' rest." Rest! 'Oly gosh! I clenched me teeth an' clawed the bloomin' bunk, for a red 'ot poker jabbed me every time I much as wunk. I couldn't cough, I couldn't move, I couldn't get me breath. "Look after Bill," I tells Doreen. "I feels that this is death." "Death fiddlesticks," she laughs at me. "You just turn over now." I howls, "'Ere, don't you touch me, or there'll be a blazin' row." "I want to die just as I am," she says. "Now, Bill, have sense. This has to go on while it's hot." I groans. "I've no defence." An' so she has her way with me, an' though I'm sufferin' bad, I couldn't help but noticin' the gentle touch she 'ad. That evenin', when the doctor come, says 'e, "Ah, 'urtin' much? Where is the trouble?" I says, "Where you ain't allowed to touch." 'E mauls an' prods me, while I 'owls to beat the bloomin' band. Gawd blimey, I'd 'a' cracked 'im if I'd strength to lift me 'and. "Describe your symptoms now," says 'e. I fills meself wiv wind, an' slings 'im out a catalogue, while 'e jist stood an' grinned. "Aha!" 'e sez. "Sciatica! I will soon 'ave you well." "Sciatica?" says I. "You sure you don't mean jumpin' 'ell? It ain't no private devil wiv a jagged little knife?" "Tut, tut," 'e grins. "You'll soon be right. I leaves you to yer wife." I looks at 'er, she smiles at me, an' when I seen that smile, "Oh, poultices!" I groans, an' she enjoys it all the while. But I'm married to a woman, an' I gives you my straight tip: It makes a man feel glad of it when sickness gets a grip. 'Er looks is full o' tenderness, 'er ways is full o' love, An' 'er touch is like a blessin' as she gently bends above. 'Er speech is firm but motherin', 'er manners strict but mild. You're 'er 'usband an' 'er patient, an' 'er little orphan child. When you're married to a woman an' you're feelin' well an' right, When yer frame is full o' ginger an' yer mouth is full o' skite, Then you talk about the missus in an off-'and sort of way. She's 'andy in the 'ouse if she don't 'ave too much to say. But when old man Sciatica, 'e does you up reel neat, Then she's yer own reel mate, she is, an' all yer 'ands an' feet. An' so Doreen, she nurses me while I lie there an' grouch, For I'm snarky when I tumble that it ain't me dyin' couch. I barks at 'er an' snarls at 'er an' orders 'er about, An' nearly wears the feet orf 'er wiv trottin' in an' out. An' while ole man Sciatica, 'e 'as me in 'is sway, Doreen, she jist gives in to me, an' always gets 'er way. 3 solid days I 'as of it, an' then the pain lets out. I'm feelin' fit fer graft again, an' wants to get about. It's then she lets me see 'er 'and, an' orders, "You stay there Until you get yer 'ealth an' strength to sit up in a chair." "But there's that stove wood," I begins. Says she, "Now, don't you fret. I'm very sparin' wiv it, an' there's tons an' tons there yet. Tell you straight, I got to like it. It's a crook thing to confess, But to 'ave 'er fussin' round me give me chunks of 'appiness. So I gets out in the garden wiv an armchair an' a rug, An' I comes the floppin' invalid, an' makes meself reel snug. I droops me eyes, an' 'angs me 'ands, an' looks dead crook an' ill, An' wriggles ev'ry time she says, "Wot would you like now, Bill?" An' then one day I 'ears the axe down there be'ind the 'ouse, An' I sees meself a loafer, an' me conscience starts to rouse. I 'eaves me frame out of the chair an' wanders down the yard. She's beltin' at a knotty log, an' beltin' good an' 'ard. I grabs the axe. "Give up," I says. "I ain't no shattered wreck. This 'ere's my job." An' then, Gorstruth, I gets it in the neck. "Am I yer wife?" she asks me straight. "Why can't you trust me, Bill? Am I not fit to see to things when you are weak an' ill?" I tries to say I'm 'possumin' an' really well an' strong, But ev'ry time I starts to talk she gets me in the wrong. "You can't deceive me, Bill," she says. "Yer 'ealth is far from good. You jist can't trust yer wife to chop a little bit of wood." "You gotter come out in the cold," she says, "without your wraps. An' now I'll 'ave you on me 'ands fer days wiv a relapse." "I been pretendin'," I explains. She says, "Am I yer wife? Yet sooner than yeh'd trust to me you'd go an' risk yer life." Well, I'm married to a woman, an' it might seem sorter meek I goes back into bed again, an' 'ates it for a week. The End. End of Chapter 4. Recording by Son of the Exiles. End of Bill and Doreen's married life from Doreen by Clarence James Dennis.